Hey guys, welcome back. It's really windy today, but I wanted to hop on here really quickly today and talk with you about some issues I'm seeing with some seed starting, and I wanted to help you out in case you were experiencing um, seedlings that were not thriving, seedlings that are leggy. There are three main issues I'm seeing. I'm a member of a bunch of YouTube groups or Facebook groups about seedling starting. And what I'm seeing people do is the same mistake over and over again. And actually, one mistake leads to a different one. And then there's a third pesky mistake out there that if you throw all those together and you do all of those things that at the same time that are not great, you're going to end up with seedlings that are yellow, struggling, leggy, and they're not going to ever be able to recover. So, in the honor of, or in the spirit of trying to start food and start seeds for cheap, I think what people are doing is they're making some choices that they think are a good idea, but end up being something that cause problems. So the first poor choice, or the first choice that starts all of these into motion, is the solo cup. I understand why people start seeds in these solo cups. It is to save money. It's to use whatever you have on hand. But there are some issues with using solo cups, and it actually has nothing to do with the fact that they're plastic. Okay. We're not even going to talk about that right now. This is a large cup. And when you use a large cup like that, you force yourself to use a lot of soil, because if you don't fill it full of soil, your seedling, when it emerges finally, is not going to have any sun because it'll be deep down in this cup, and the rim will cover this, will hide the sun. It will create shadows. So you start with what you have because that's what you want to do. You're trying to save money or you wouldn't be gardening. So you take this cup and you fill it absolutely full of soil. And when you fill a cup like that, full of soil in the springtime specifically, that soil is going to be cold. And when we're starting things like tomatoes and peppers, which is usually where I find people who have the most issues, these seeds like warm soil. And when you are putting a mass of soil in a cup like this, you are going to end up with cold soil. So it's going to take a while for these plants to germinate, or they're not going to be very vigorous. So that's the first mistake. And so you're filling this cup full of soil and you say, wait a minute, I went to Lowe's and I bought a bag of soil to start with. This is the fancy seedling mix that they say I need. But wow, that takes a lot of that fancy soil to fill this up. Why don't I use some leaf mulch or I'll use some wood chips. I'll mix in wood chips. I'll use something that's cheaper, right? So you used a large cup because that's what you had. And then because you have a large cup, you have to use a lot of soil. And so to save money on that, you are using soil that's not optimal for you. And so those big sticks and leaves and all that stuff like that's in the soil is actually leaching out nitrogen. So it needs nitrogen to break down. And so if you're not using seedling mix, then your soil is actually leaching it's leaching the nitrogen out of your plants. And that's why if you have a lot of soil in this red solo cup, you are you've got a lot of like wood mulchy undecomposed soil. Your seedlings, when they do grow, are going to be yellow and spindly and just kind of, they don't look healthy or vigorous. So those are your first two choices that are leading to these issues. And you can see how those two choices are related, right? Because you used a vessel that's too big, you now are finding out that you need a cheaper soil. And so you're cutting corners and using a soil that's not fully decomposed, something that's less expensive. And so you're paying for it double. So not only is it taking a longer time to heat the soil up to where it needs to be, it's also not giving your plants the nutrients they need because they're competing with your plants for nutrients because that soil still needs to break down. Those are the two things. The third one, before I go on to the third one, let me help you fix this. If you are going to if you're going to use a cup, a solo cup, use the bathroom solo cups. These guys are 5 ounces. You can see there's quite a difference in the 16 ounce versus this 5 ounce. And you are going to be able to then put the proper soil. Do you see how much less of an amount it takes here? You're only going to use maybe 4 ounces of soil. Then you can use the actual seedling mix that we suggest for the all the good reasons that we suggested. So if you're going to use a cup, if you need solo cups, use these little babies. These are 80 cups. I don't know what this cost me. It was a few dollars. I've had it for years. And so yeah, if you're gonna start some cups or start some in these cups, you do yourself a favor and start with these. This will allow you to need less. And you honestly, if you were to start a tomato plant in this cup and you start it at the right time, you are not gonna have to pot it up beyond this if you choose not to. Like this will be able to hold your plant until it needs to go out into the garden. So that's your fix for that. Like let's say that you really are dead set on using a solo cup. Use a smaller solo cup. Or if you don't want to buy anything at all, which I don't understand, but I mean I do get it, then cut the tops off of these. Cut these so that you can put less in and your plants will still get sun. Do what you have to do to make that amount of soil less so that you can use the right soil. All right. Now I just want to show you really quickly my plants here. Let me attach this to myself here. All right. Okay. These are being grown in bootstrap farmer trays. These bootstrap farmer trays are like $5 a piece. If you wanted to, you could buy yourself one of these. A bottom is maybe $5 if you only wanted to buy one. Look at these guys. They're not leggy. They have nice thick stems. They are going to be able to stay in this. They're going to be able to stay in this until I put them out into the garden. And so for a $10 investment, you can get, for a $10 investment, you're going to be able to get something like this. And I mean, there are 300 tomato plants in these 2 trays. So and that allows you to use really good soil because you're not using a ton of it. You're not pushing yourself into a corner and forcing yourself to use something that's not ideal. And so the third mistake, I told you there were 3. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. It's been a while since I was a beginner, but I don't understand why people are like, I don't have a grow light and I refuse to get one. You have to get yourself a light and make sure that light is this far from your seedlings when they when they first germinate, 1 to 2 inches above your seedlings. And then an easy way to move that is if you have a stationary light. I always use shop lights. If it's even a 5,000 Kelvin to a 6,500 Kelvin will work. 6,500 Kelvin is the temperature of daylight, but you don't actually have to have that to get seeds to germinate and the plants to grow. I went on Amazon and I got 2 shop lights that cover a large area for like $15 a piece. Please don't try to grow them. If you grow your seedlings in a window, they will get leggy because they're not getting enough sun and they will fail. And so that $15 shop light is worth it. And when you get a light, make sure it's strong enough. The amount of lumens that are hitting the surface are strong enough. I think people recommend at least 2,000 lumens hitting the surface. And so to get that rule of thumb is if you put that shop light 1 to 2 inches above the top of your seedlings, you're going to achieve that lumen value that you need. Whether it seems weird to you or not, just do it. You got to do it because it works. And that's what you have to do. I can't tell you how many people I've seen with leggy plants. They say, okay, I don't have a light. Could you imagine you've got a solo cup full of wood mulchy soil, two things that your plants are having to work against, and then you're putting them in a window. They're guaranteed to fail. And then you're going to be frustrated. You're going to throw it away. You've wasted time. So just do these things that I've laid out for you. They're really, really simple. These are quick fixes. And I'm telling you guys, I'm seeing so many people. Every time I open up Facebook, there's another post from someone who has like really spindly, leggy seedlings. And no, you can't plant those stems in the ground and hope for success because you need a thick stem. Like if you have a thick stem, like the stem on these guys, you could bury these stems and they would be okay if you had to. But if you have a very like paper or like a wispy thin, hair thin, it's like as thin as a strand of hair, you can't plant that and like plant it deeply and cover it. It will just disintegrate. The stem will disintegrate in the ground. So I hope this has helped. Those are the three things I see people doing all over again. And the first two of those things are related to each other, which is you want to use what you have. So you use a big old solo cup. Because it's a big old solo cup, soil's super expensive. So you cut corners on your soil and you use woody, like mulchy soil that's not finished decomposing. That causes your plants to be yellow. They're not getting the nitrogen they need. It's just a whole big mess. And so if you have to use a solo cup, use the bathroom solo cup, not the party solo cup. We're using the bathroom, not the party. So that you can fill it full of the right soil. And I promise you that this cup of soil is going to be enough for you to put that tomato plant. You put your seed in here 6 weeks before your last frost date. You baby them, you plant them out, and you put them under that shop light I just told you about, this far from your plants, and you're going to have success. All right. I've done this. I've done thousands and thousands of seedlings this way over this last several years. And I've never had a leggy seedling, never had a problem. And that's why. So I hope this was helpful for y'all. I just wanted to hop on and make this video. Thank you for watching. It was a bit windy out here, so I hope my sound was good. Please, if this helps you, let me know. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you. Bye for now.